Good morning, friends. I am so busy this morning in the kitchen. I am double challenging it today. I am going to be fulfilling two different challenges. One is the Three Rivers Homestead Challenge with Jessica over at Three Rivers Homestead. I cleaned out my freezer. I found two big bags of mozzarella cheese. I've got pepperonis here. I've got in my pantry, when I inventoried it, I got jar after jar of flour. In the freezer, I've got lots of sausage. So I thought I am going to use up these ingredients by making homemade freezer pizzas. Now, not only am I knocking it out of the park on that challenge by using up these ingredients, plus my own homemade pizza sauce. I got that canned up this summer from my backyard tomatoes. I am going to be making at least 20, possibly 24 pizzas, package them up and put them in the freezer. And that will fulfill the 365 meal challenge with Jill over at North Texas Vegetable Gardening. I'm going to leave links to both those channels in the description box, but let's get started. I've got some dough warming and rising in the oven, and then we're just going to knock this out. So stay with me. Double challenge it, girl. So here are the basic ingredients. You just need some all-purpose or bread flour, some active dry yeast, some sugar, salt, olive oil, and warm water. Now, I do go back and brush my crust around the edges with the olive oil, and the granulated garlic just gives that flavor to the pizza that I love, that garlicky flavor. But these are basic ingredients for making the pizza dough. So in my measuring cup, I have 1.5 cups of flour, 3/4 teaspoon of active dry yeast, 3/4 teaspoon of sugar, and 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And then I'm just pouring this in my mixer and letting the mixer do all the work for me. Now I'm going to slowly add in that 2/3 cup of warm water, and make sure you use warm water and not cold water. So I'm just letting that mix, and it will continue to mix as you slowly add the water in, and then 1 tablespoon of olive oil, and it should form a nice ball in your blender. If it is too sticky, add a little bit more flour. If it is too dry, then just add a little bit more water. Now over on the counter, I am adding some flour, and I will take this ball of dough out and just knead it for just a couple of minutes, just working it back and forth. And then I've got a pan that I have oiled with some olive oil. I cut my oven on early this morning and cut it off, so that is where I'm going to let this dough rise in the oven, in the bowl covered up with a towel. See what a pretty dough that is, and that is going to rise and double in size, and I will get 4 pizzas out of this little ball of dough. It's a very cheap bread pizza dough recipe, and it tastes delicious. So in the bowl, I'm going to coat both sides with the olive oil, cover it with a towel, and then set it in that warm oven to rise for 1 hour. It's been 1 hour, and you can see that dough has more than doubled in size. I'm just going to press it down. Then I'm going to divide the dough in half and then in 2 halves again, and I will have 4 pizzas. Now I'm going to roll this back up into little balls, set it back in the oven for about 30 more minutes, and get 1 more good rise. Again, these are going to be individual size pizzas, and they're just so delicious. They're very filling. This dough will rise again and make some nice crust for our pizza. So back in the oven it goes. Okay, I've let it rise for 30 more minutes, and now I'm just going to press it out. You could use a rolling pin, but I find it works just as good to use my hands. I don't make a beautiful circle pizza. I just kind of make some oval sizes, and then you'll see I made 2 rectangle size pizzas. And here's all my toppings sitting over to the side, ready to be added to this delicious pizza. I'm going to make 4 or 5 different kinds of pizza. So if the grandkids come over, I've got cheese for them. Some people only like pepperonis. I love the everything supreme pizza. So that's what I'm doing. This recipe will make 4 pizzas. So I ended up with 21 pizzas to put in the freezer. I'm just pressing it out as much as I can without tearing the dough, and then we'll start the edge. All around the edge I've got some olive oil and that garlic powder, and I am just brushing it on around the edges. Then I'll go back and fill in the middle part with the pizza dough sauce. This just gives it a nice flavor when you first bite into your pizza. Now this step is optional, but it sure does make a big difference when you bite into that delicious garlic taste. So now I've got my pizza sauce. Now you could use regular marinara sauce, or you can buy pizza sauce in the grocery store. I had such a large abundance of tomatoes that I made my own pizza sauce this summer. So I'm just adding 2 big teaspoons to each pizza. I don't like a lot of sauce on mine. I don't like it real soupy. So I'm just spreading that out to where the garlic and olive oil edge is. And then we'll start our toppings. So for this one, it's going to be the meat lovers pizza that my husband loves. And I've got some sausage that I browned up. And I'm just putting a little bit of brown sausage all over the pizzas. And then I'll go back over it with some pepperonis and also some mozzarella cheese. Now, you know, when you go to a pizza restaurant, the toppings, if you want more than 1 or 2, you have to pay $1 extra. And this way, by making it at home, you can add all the toppings you want and keep the cost way down. The only thing I've bought for this meal was I bought a fresh bell pepper and a little container of mushrooms because I love bell pepper and mushrooms on my pizza. Everything else I had either in the freezer or the pantry. So I'm just adding on these pepperonis. This is how my husband loves his meat lovers pizza. And then we're just going to add on the cheese. I'm going to quick freeze these in the freezer, so I'm just covering them with some plastic wrap. Stick it in the freezer until it's frozen, and then we will repackage it. Now on next to just regular cheese pizzas, and this is what the grandkids love. So I've got some shredded cheddar from the refrigerator. Then I'm going to put on some mozzarella, and then I'm going to top that with some grated Parmesan. And this will be for the grandkids. So I did 2 batches of just regular plain cheese pizza for them. Just like I did the last pizzas, I will cover these in plastic wrap and put these in the freezer for a quick freeze. Now we're moving on to my favorite, which is the supreme pizza. And you can see I've made these more in a rectangle shape, and this could feed 2 people, or it could feed me, and then I could have some for a snack later. So I started with some sausage. Then I cut up some pepperonis. I don't like a lot of pepperonis, so I cut it into little strips. I put it on my 3 pizzas. And then I'm going to start loading it up with the veggies. And this is where I chopped up bell pepper. I'm putting some fresh bell pepper on there. Then I'm going to be using some mushrooms. So I chopped them up finely and put them on the pizza. And then I have some black olives, and I love black and green olives. So you can see I'm really piling on the veggies. for this pizza, and that's why I call it Supreme. My favorite pizza is the Supreme, and if you get the DiGiorno's or one of the name brand pizzas, they're like $8.99 now at the grocery store. So I'm really tickled to have this to put in the freezer and enjoy when I need a fast supper. So after all of the veggies and olives are sprinkled on, I'm going to go back over it with some cheese. And I had a package of this pizza cheese. It's a variety of cheeses, and so I'm going to use that up today on this pizza. I pretty much used up all of the cheeses that I had in the freezer and the refrigerator on these pizzas, and that was my goal, to make sure I use up what we already have in the refrigerator and the pantry. So you can see I'm just sprinkling on that cheese, and then we're going to quick freeze these, and then I'm going to show you how to repackage these, and they look just like the frozen pizzas that you purchase at the grocery store. Okay, after about 3 hours, I checked on the pizzas and they are completely frozen. So I'm going to be repackaging these for long term in the freezer. So this is one pan, and you can see the crust is nice and stiff. So what I'm going to do is wrap each one of these individually in plastic wrap. And I don't want my crust to break or snap in two. So I had a new cardboard box that hadn't been used, and I just cut it apart. And just like you get a pizza from the grocery store, there's a little cardboard insert to make sure that the crust doesn't get all broken up. So I've cut one for each pizza. I'm going to wrap it again in plastic wrap. Then I'm going to take it a step further, and I'm going to vacuum seal it with my vacuum seal machine. Alright, I've placed the pizza in a vacuum seal bag. I have vacuumed out all of the air and sealed it up tight, and this will prevent any freezer burn, and then just added some extra padding so that these pizzas do not break. Then I'm putting it in the freezer Ziploc bag. I've got it labeled. This is the Supreme pizza, and I've got the date on it, and it's ready to go back in the freezer. And you know, I spent about the month of January cleaning out my little freezer, and now I'm starting to put things back in it. So here are all my meals. I got 21 meals. We did eat 2 of these for supper, but there's meat lovers, there's cheese, there's the Supreme, and then there's regular pepperoni pizzas. So these are all ready to go back in the freezer and be ready for me whenever I've had a long day and I don't feel like fixing supper, or if the grandkids come over, I can pull these out, and it's just going to be so easy for me. Now you can see my nice cleaned out freezer from the 3 Rivers Challenge, and there's the Supreme rectangle size. And then in the bottom tray, I was able to get everything cleaned out in January, and now I've got it filled back up with some delicious homemade pizzas. Now, if you were to buy these pizzas at the store, and let's just say $5 a piece, that's about $100 that I saved today by making my own pizzas at home. And I'm going to tell you, they were delicious. We had these. I had the Supreme. My husband had his pepperoni, and we devoured them. They were so good. So I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you so much for watching. Go check out the challenges that I've listed in the description box. And as always, have a blessed day, friends. And please like and subscribe. It really helps out my channel. Thank you.